2008, Honorable Thokozani Khupe was sworn in and appointed as the Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Zimbabwe.
I'm very, very happy to be with you this morning, and I'm very pleased to see people who are very happy, people who are keen to exchange views and ideas about Zimbabwe, people who want to know what is happening back home. And I've always said that my role is to tell you exactly what is happening at home, what is prevailing at home. And I will not ask anybody to come back home. The choice is going to be yours, because all I'm going to do is to tell you exactly what is happening at home. And then individuals will have to decide whether they want to come back home today or tomorrow or after 3 years or after 5 years. So my role is to just tell you. We also decided to form this government to try and address 5 issues. The first issue was to make sure that we restore food security. The second issue was to ensure that we restore people's freedoms. The third issue, to restore basic services. The fourth issue, to restore macroeconomic stability. And the fifth issue, to restore Zimbabwe back into the family of nations. Going back to the first issue, most of you would know that 2008, 2007, and other years, 2009, there was no food in Zimbabwe. Our shops were literally empty. You could not find anything, even salt. You couldn't find it in any shop. And therefore, after the formation of this government, we said we don't want the people of Zimbabwe to go hungry ever again. People were going across borders to try and look for food, but we did not have that food in Zimbabwe. But after the formation of this government, some of you would know that our shops are full. There is food, you find meal, you find literally all the basic commodities which people need. But the only thing that we don't have is money. There is no money to buy that food, but food is available. On the second issue, to restore people's freedoms, some of you would know that our commissions have already been set in Zimbabwe. 3 out of 4 commissions have been set. The Zimbabwe Media Commission, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, save for the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. The reason why we wanted this commission was to make sure that the Zimbabwe Media Commission opens up the airwaves. As you know that we have one media, the ZBC, the Chronicle, the Herald, and all these media are owned by the state. And we said that we wanted to open up, the media space so that everyone who wants to come and report from Zimbabwe is allowed to do so, because we want multiplicity of voices. We want every political party to be covered during elections. We want the people of Zimbabwe to be told facts as they are. As you know that the responsibility of the media is to make sure that they inform and they educate the population. And therefore we don't want our population to be bombarded with propaganda. We want them to get facts as they are. They must know what is happening in their country without any fear or any favor. And Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, you know that there are so many human rights violations and injustices which were done to the people of Zimbabwe way back from 1980, the elections of 2000, 2002, 2005, and 2008, the recent one. So we want to make sure that those violations don't happen anymore. So the role of the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission is to make sure that they avoid those human rights violations. They are supposed to act as a watchdog to make sure that those things do not happen. People being arrested unnecessarily, people being beaten, their homes being burnt, people being, killed. We don't want all those things happening. So we want to make sure that the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission deals with those issues. The Zimbabwe Electoral Commission's role is to make sure that by the time we have elections, that election is supposed to be held under a free, fair, and secure environment. So their role is to make sure that they organize an election which is free and fair. And then we have the issue of the National Healing Desk, as what Adele told you earlier on, to say we have a national healing organ. The role of the national healing organ is to make sure that they heal the wounds of the people. As I said earlier on, that injustices have been committed to the people of Zimbabwe since 1980. Of the Gugurawundi era, people who have been beaten, killed during elections. We want to make sure that all these issues are addressed, because we cannot build a country on a foundation of injustice. That country can never prosper. So we want to make sure that we build our country on a foundation where the people are happy, where the nation is healed. More importantly, we have the constitutional making process. The constitutional making process is in motion as we are talking right now. Our outreach teams have already gone out to go and gather information. As you would know that in Zimbabwe we do not have a constitution of our own. The constitution that we have right now is a transfer of power document, and the people of Zimbabwe have not yet been given an opportunity to write their own constitution. So with the ushering in of the new inclusive government, the people of Zimbabwe have been given this opportunity to write their own constitution. For we believe that it is the people who have the right to tell those they elect on how they want to be governed, and not the leadership telling the people how they want to govern them. So this is why the constitutional making process is important, because it is the people who are supposed to give us direction as a government to say, this is the route that you're supposed to follow. And by so doing, then the people will make sure that as government we answer for our actions. As government, we are responsible for our actions. And they have the right to then act as a watchdog to say, this is not what we said we wanted you to do. This is what we had said this government is supposed to be run under this particular, framework or context. So that is why this constitutional making process is important. And again, as I said earlier on, that this is a transitional government, it's not a permanent government. So the reason why this government was formed was to make sure that there is a new constitution in place, a new constitution which is going to lead to free and fair election, and free and fair election which are going to lead to a democratically elected government. So that's basically our roadmap to an election, looking at what is supposed to happen after the constitutional making process. We hope and trust that by March next year, this constitutional making process would have been completed. It was supposed to be completed by end of this year, but because of other logistical issues, we are unable to start on time. So this is why we are now looking forward to March next year, meaning that if anything, we are supposed to have elections before end of next year if things proceed as per the plan.
I'm quite pleased, Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, that part of your work involves the constitution-making process in the diaspora. You've already touched on the issues that we have concerning dual nationality and voting rights. I would like to implore you to also use whatever means are available in your office to ensure that the 3 million or so people in diaspora you've mentioned are not excluded in the constitution-making process itself. I think that it is well and good that there is an awareness in Zimbabwe of our issues, but I believe it is proper for us in the diaspora to be able to communicate in our own voice the issues that we have and what we want to see in the new constitution. I therefore probably will ask the question, does the Deputy Prime Minister know whether we are going to be consulted in the diaspora? And if not, could the Deputy Prime Minister please assist us by ensuring that we are consulted before this process ends? Thank you.
Just like any other Zimbabwean, Dotito, in Cholocho, in Rwanda. And therefore your views must be taken into consideration. I'll take it upon myself to make sure that I make a follow-up on this.